there's a moment in life that most people try to avoid. A moment when you realize something uncomfortable. No one is coming to save you. Not your friends, not your family, not the world, and definitely not the version of you that keeps waiting. Because the truth is, there are battles in your life that were never meant to be shared. You can have support. You can have people around you. You can have advice, comfort, distraction. But when it really matters, when it gets quiet, when everything slows down, and there's nowhere left to hide, it's just you. And whatever you've been avoiding, most people don't become weak because life is hard. They become weak because they refuse to face it alone. They distract themselves. They surround themselves with noise. They look for validation. They wait for someone to understand them before they understand themselves. But strength, real strength, doesn't come from being supported. It comes from being tested, alone. This is something Marcus Aurelius understood deeply. He didn't rely on applause. He didn't wait for approval. He built himself in silence. And that's the part most people never see. Because the world celebrates outcomes, but ignores the solitude behind them. If you want real power, you have to learn something most people avoid. You have to learn how to bleed without an audience. Because not every pain is meant to be shared. Not every struggle needs to be explained. Some battles are designed to shape you privately, to test your discipline, your patience, your identity, and if you keep running from them, you might survive. But you'll stay weak on the inside, so listen carefully, because what you're about to hear is not comfortable. It's not motivational in the usual sense. It won't make you feel good instantly, but it will make you stronger if you're willing to face it. These are 9 things you must face alone if you want to become strong. And the last one is the one most people never recover from, because it looks simple until life forces you to live it. Thing 1, heal your own wounds. No one feels your pain the way you do. People can listen. They can sit with you. They can offer words that sound right. But when the night comes, when everything goes quiet, when your thoughts start speaking louder, it's just you, and whatever is still broken inside. Slow pause. And here's the truth most people avoid. If you don't face your pain, you become it, because pain that is not healed doesn't disappear. It transforms into patterns, into reactions, into choices that quietly destroy your life. Tone deepens. You start choosing the same people who hurt you. You repeat the same mistakes that drain you. You tell yourself the same story until it feels like your identity. This is just who I am. This always happens to me. I can't change this. But that's not truth. That's unhealed pain, wearing a familiar voice. Pause. Healing alone doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means taking responsibility for what you carry. It means sitting with discomfort instead of escaping it. It means looking at your past without letting it control your future. Soft emotional tone. Because no one else can do that for you. No one can go inside your mind and clean what you've been ignoring. No one can feel your wounds and decide to close them. That's your job. Short pause. And it's not easy, because healing requires honesty. It requires you to admit what hurt you, what changed you, what still affects you. Tone becomes sharper. And most importantly, it requires you to stop pretending that you're okay when you're not. Because pretending doesn't heal, it hides. And what you hide controls you. Pause. This is something Seneca understood clearly. He believed, that we suffer more when we avoid reality than when we face it, because reality, even when it's painful, can be worked with. Avoidance cannot. Soft pause. So you have a choice. You can keep running from your pain and let it shape your life silently. Or you can face it, alone, without distraction, without excuses, without waiting for someone else to fix it. Deep emotional tone. Because either you heal or you learn to live with damage, and call that normal. Long pause. Music fades slightly. In the next part, we're going to talk about something even more dangerous, something invisible, something that controls your life, without you realizing it, your mind. Thing 2. Discipline your mind. There's a place where your life is decided long before anything happens outside. Your mind. Most people think their problems come from the world, from situations, from people, from bad luck. But the real problem is that they don't control what happens inside their own head. Thoughts come and go all day. Fear, doubt, overthinking, imaginary scenarios that never even happen. And instead of observing them, people believe them. They follow them. They react to them, without questioning anything. That's how a single thought can ruin an entire day. You wake up feeling fine, then one thought appears. What if this goes wrong? And suddenly, everything feels heavy. You lose focus. You lose confidence. You lose control. Not because something happened, but because something entered your mind, and you accepted it without resistance. This is the danger of an undisciplined mind. It has no filter, no control, no authority. It allows anything to enter and treats it as truth. That's why most people live in reaction. They react to thoughts, react to emotions, react to situations, as if their mind belongs to someone else. But strength begins here. The moment you realize, you don't have to believe every thought you have. This is what Epictetus taught clearly. It's not what happens to you, but how you interpret it. Because your thoughts are not commands, they are suggestions, and you decide which ones deserve your attention. Mental discipline is invisible. No one sees it, no one praises it, no one claps when you stop yourself from overthinking, no one notices when you choose calm instead of panic. But that's where your power is built, in silence, when fear enters your mind, and you don't let it take over, when doubt appears, and you question it instead of obeying it, when your emotions rise, and you don't let them control your actions. That's discipline. And it requires something most people avoid. Awareness, to observe your thoughts, to name them, to separate yourself from them. Instead of saying, I'm anxious, you learn to say, I'm experiencing anxiety. That small shift creates distance, and in that distance, you gain control. Because when you are not your thoughts, you are free to choose differently. And over time, this changes everything. Your reactions slow down. Your decisions become clearer. Your emotions stop controlling your behavior. You become someone who thinks before acting, who observes before reacting, who chooses instead of drifting. And that is rare because most people never train their mind. They let it run wild and then wonder why their life feels out of control. But you can't build a strong life with a weak mind. Either you discipline your thoughts, or your thoughts will control you. Thing 3. Build your vision in silence. There is a phase in life where nothing makes sense from the outside. No one understands what you're doing. No one sees progress. No one believes in your direction. And sometimes, not even you feel certain. That's where most people quit. Not because they lack ability, But because they lack vision, they depend on validation, on approval, on signs that they're doing the right thing. And when those signs don't come, they stop. But real vision doesn't need approval. It needs commitment. Because before anything becomes visible, it exists in your mind, alone. And holding on to that vision when there is no evidence, no support, no recognition, is one of the hardest things you will ever do. You will doubt yourself. You will question your path. You will feel like you're wasting time. But this is where strength is built. Not when things are working, but when nothing seems to be working. And you continue anyway. The world only sees results. It sees success. It sees outcomes, but it never sees the nights when you kept going without motivation, the moments when you wanted to quit, but didn't, the times when you felt lost, but stayed on your path. That part is always invisible. This is what separates people who succeed from people who stop, because without vision, you become easy to influence, easy to distract, easy to control. You follow trends, you chase approval, you adjust your direction, based on what others think. But when you have a clear vision, something changes. You stop reacting to noise. You stop needing validation. You stop explaining yourself, because you know where you're going, even if no one else does. This is something Marcus Aurelius lived by. He focused on his duty, not on applause, because applause is temporary, but direction is permanent. Your vision is your anchor. It keeps you grounded, and when everything else feels uncertain, and if you don't build it, you will drift. From one thing to another, from one idea to another, from one version of yourself to another, never becoming anything solid. So you have to decide, who are you becoming? Not based on how you feel, not based on what others expect, but based on what you choose. Because without a vision, you don't build a life. You react to one, and reacting will never make you strong. Thing 4. Walk away from what weakens you. There are things in your life that you already know are hurting you, but you keep holding on, not because they're good for you, but because they're familiar. A person who drains your energy, a habit that wastes your time, a version of yourself that feels comfortable, but small. And even though you feel it, you don't let go, because letting go hurts. It creates emptiness, silence, uncertainty, and most people are not afraid of pain. They're afraid of change, so they stay attached to what weakens them, to what limits them, to what slowly destroys their potential. And they call it loyalty, comfort. This is just how things are. But deep down, they know the truth. Strength doesn't come from holding on. It comes from knowing when to let go. Because not everything in your life is meant to stay. Some things are lessons, some people are phases, some habits are temporary. But when you refuse to release them, they become chains. You keep rowing forward, but something is pulling you back, draining you, slowing you down. And no matter how hard you try, you don't move, because you're carrying what you should have dropped. This is the quiet courage most people never develop. Walking away without needing closure, without needing approval, without needing someone to understand your decision, because the truth is, most people won't understand. They will question you. They will judge you. They will think you're wrong. But strength is not doing what others agree with. It's doing what makes you better. And sometimes, what makes you better feels lonely. You leave the environment that numbs you. You distance yourself from people who limit you. You stop repeating behaviors that weaken you. And for a while, it feels empty. But that emptiness is space. Space for growth, space for clarity, space for a stronger version of you to emerge. Because you don't become powerful by adding more to your life. You become powerful by removing what doesn't belong. Thing 5. Master your emotions. Most people are controlled without realizing it. Not by others, but by their own emotions. A small comment ruins their mood. A minor problem creates stress. A single moment of anger turns into regret. They react instantly, without thinking, without control. And because of that, they become predictable. And predictable people are easy to manipulate. Because if someone knows how you react, they know how to control you. Push your anger, you explode.